Hopefully, hopefully this lesson will go through. But Shalom Akim. I want to start off by giving all praises, honors, and glories due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakah Kwadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who are the true teachers of Israel today, and the peace, blessing, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Alright? So if you've been caught up on the news, there has been more talks about the cargo situation that's going on there in, I believe, California. In California, the coast of California, the way they're positioned on the globe, they receive a lot of cargo from the east. Places like China, uh, Thailand, Singapore, even all the way from places like the far east of Russia. Even though the far east of Russia, like that no man's land area, they they don't really have that much manufacturing. It's just a wilderness up there. It's like I wouldn't say it's a wild place, but there's not that much civilization in those areas because it's very hard to live there. To grow crops, to just start a basic everyday life up there in those far east parts of Russia. But nevertheless, most of the cargo they coming from these places, and they can't come through because of labor shortages. That's one. They're also talking about I don't know if I could say this, but the disease, the Carolina disease that's happening, Carolina-19. Um, Basically, a lot of the cargo that's coming in, they can't come through because of all these quarantine rules that they have to abide by, like taking the Carolina test. If one crew member tests positive, in some cases they can't bring the cargo and they have to return back to where they came from, the country. Are even cases when these cargo ships they go to China. If one member tests positive, you know, they all have to return back to where they came from, and that ship can't return to China anymore. They have to bring in a crew member, a new ship crew member. So life out there on the sea is very rough, and it takes a type of spirit, man, to be out there on the sea because you're basically moving. Your life is at risk, man. That's why they always say that the most tough men or the toughest men back then were the ones that were doing these labors work, like farmers, fishermen, you know, hunting in the mountains. These are things that require a lot of physical strength and mental strength as well, because you need a hard mentality to really withstand the type of adversity you will face out there, compared to somebody that's living in the city. But I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit of this article. It's from Isabella Fertel. That's the editor slash author of the article. Sacramento, California, October 2nd, 2021. Cargo ships anchored off Southern California. They also said this: if your time is short, post on social media claim. Okay, so this is a summarization. Post on social media claim that there are more than 50 cargo freighters anchored off of the Californian coast. The post suggests that this will lead to nationwide food and supply shortages. Some of the posts also claim that the cargo boats are not allowed to dock and unload as some part of a manufactured supply chain hope. It is true that there is a record-breaking number of ships at anchor in Southern California waiting to unload their cargo, and they're stuck at sea. They have no food, they have no water. You know, sometimes the people that are at the docks, they won't bring food to them, so they're basically eating what they have, what they brought with them on the ship, and that's not gonna last. So it's a lot of craziness that's going on. And not that many people are paying attention to it because of the distractions, the entertainment, the media. If you look at if I look at my coworkers, man, they don't see, basically, my coworkers, I don't know how to explain this, but most of their talk is of worldly things, you know. This one guy, you know, me being new at my job, I asked him, "Why aren't you wearing your mask?" Not because I believe in the COVID stuff, but I wanted to see what he was gonna say because you know, I heard that if you don't wear your mask while you're doing your job, you know, people can report you. You know, so I wanted to ask a question on why he wasn't wearing his mask to see what he would say, and then unexpectedly, I wasn't expecting that answer. He said, "Oh, I took the jab. You know, I'm already jabbed up. You know." And then I didn't say anything after that. You know, my mom was like, "Yeah." I didn't say anything after that. I was like, "Yeah, this dude, poor guy." And I know he took the jab for those incentives that they give out. You know, you got companies now giving out bonuses. Oh, you get a $2,000 bonus for taking a jab. You know, a lot of people are doing that to get that extra bonus, which is not worth it, man. You know, it's not worth selling your soul or selling your body just for a little monetary gain. You know, a lot of people they worship money way too much. You know, so is it true that there is a record-breaking ships at anchor in Southern California waiting to unload their cargo? According to the Marine Exchange of Southern California, but experts say that the backup is being caused by labor shortages, holiday buying surges, and other Carolina-related issues. Experts say that the supply chain disruptions and some product shortages are to be expected as the world continues to navigate a global pandemic. Ruling statement. Facebook post stated on September 14th that there are now 56 cargo freighters anchored off the coast of California from Oakland to Long Beach, what can only be considered a manufactured supply chain hope. Rated mostly false, a record-breaking number of cargo ships are anchored off, but posted on claiming that these ships are delivered being prevented from unloading the cargo. Yada yada yada. Anyways, I'm gonna go play this good ass video that I found. It's really good. Uh, by this Edomite, City Prepping, which they make a lot of good videos. You know, I like their videos, but sometimes they can
Are
make
you
too
thinking
long
about buying
videos. You know,
emergency
they be
food?
repeating the
I
same
get it.
thing.
It can
So
be hard to know exactly
I like to
what to
get to the
buy.
main
Well,
point
here at Valley Food
and
Storage, we
find
make it easy.
the main point of the topic. So
Maximum storage capacity, even overloaded. Demurrage refers to a container that has been offloaded and is awaiting being loaded. Before COVID looked something like this. An order was placed, and all these reasons, encryption and
yeah, okay, I'm gonna start at here, and I'm gonna stop at the probably around here because I don't want to make this video too long. I'm gonna just grab a few scriptures after that and close it out. So Lord's
section
will,
below.
this lesson will be edifying unto the elect.
If you enjoy this video, please subscribe and click the like button to help the channel grow. The complicated failings of the shipping industry that have brought us to this point are many. Still, it is vital to highlight the major problems of the present and recent past to understand how complex a problem is. Once you understand all these reasons, you will see that these problems may persist into the distant future and precipitate a more significant supply chain collapse. COVID. Many of the problems related to the global supply chain stem from COVID. Factory closures and lockdowns through the first part of 2020 ground to a halt the finely tuned supply and demand network. The Pacific journey of goods before COVID looked something like this. An order was placed, a container was filled, a third-party shipping company found the appropriate space on a massive container ship. It was shipped, received at one of California's 11 ports, but probably either the ports of Los Angeles or Long Beach. It was loaded on the truck chassis or a rail car, transported to a warehouse in your region, and then the product was eventually delivered to your doorstep or...
That's why truckers are so important because they take the goods off of the ships, the cargo ships, and they transport it to your neighboring warehouse. You know, the warehouse that's closest to your area that produces that those goods, and then that warehouse will ship it. If it's a good that they sell at their retail stores, they'll ship it to their select retailers. You know, and that's how the supply chain works. I believe. You know, I don't have the whole system down pat, but that's the summary of it. So when you have things like, restrictions, lockdowns, and such things as mandates, you know, mandatory test, PCR test, forcing the people to do stuff that they don't want to do, it causes a lot of friction and it slows down uh, the economics of the country, which is actually good because, Salakia, uh, America has sold most of their factory jobs outside of America. They sourced them outside of America because these companies realize that they can make way much more profit. Salaki about that. Make way much more profit having them at these outside neighboring countries. Uh, places like China, Korea, Russia, places like that. Having them there. Uh, that's what goes on, and you have the goods that are being taken from there. Uh, the goods are being made and they're being shipped to the Americas. So that's how these companies make their money by using slave labor. Of these what appears to be different nations. But my personal opinion is that if they're at the bottom, like those people, if they're at the bottom, then more than likely they could be Israelites under the curses. But who knows? Only the Lord really knows about that behind the scenes. So, excuse me, Salaki. Continue playing this video.
Store. That was a finely tuned system that could bring products to your door from China in about 2 weeks or less. COVID, it threw a wrench in that system, and the supply chain wasn't prepared for it. Manufacturers in China halted production, and raw material producers were forced to shut down. New intake protocols had to be established at the exporting and importing ports. Ports rely on labor procedures for testing. Even tests needed to be developed. With no goods flowing in anymore, labor cuts were made. Everything, everywhere, slowed down or stopped flowing altogether. And the world waited for a cure or at least a glimmer of light on the horizon from the long night of COVID uncertainty. While supply had ceased to flow, demand started to skyrocket. Although there was a significant uptick in ships awaiting entry into the port at the start of the pandemic around March of 2020, the backup accelerated significantly by the fall when demand for goods exploded,
Hmm.
filling up all available berths at ports and forcing ships to anchor offshore.
The reason why goods explode during fall is because of all the seasons that Americans love to celebrate. You got Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving. Those are just the three main major ones, and you got to also remember all these religious, you know, that these religions practice, such as these so-called Jews, Amalek. You got the Muslims that they celebrate their own thing. They have some sort of uh a holiday that they celebrate in fall. And all these different religions, but the main ones are Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Halloween. All these three major holidays that people love to celebrate in America, especially Christmas. Because everybody's buying gifts, purchasing online, shipping, and that causing a lot of backlog on purchases and goods. So this is Second Esdras 6, and I'm gonna start at verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And as we approach and get closer and closer to the end, the Lord is going to show us what He really means by the storehouse shall suddenly be found empty, because the Lord has a way of doing things. The same thing with the famine. There are going to be actual famine, like natural disasters and all these occurrences that are destroying crops and limiting how much food you can buy. But the Lord is also causing famine through other ways as well, by having the elites uh, mass kill or destroy most of the crops that are being made in America and some parts of the world as well, where they mainly export food. That being China. China is actually the biggest importer of pork, which is not very surprising because they eat anything there. Those people there, Moab is very unlawful and they're very unruly beasts. They're gonna have to learn in the kingdom, but those heathens, man, they don't they they eat anything that they see, and that's why all these pork and food prices are going up because of the limited stocks that China can push out. This is Ecclesiastes 12 verse 4, and the doors shall be shut in the streets. That's talking about the stores, the merchants, the doors, the stores where you come in and get your goods. Because what is a door mainly doing in the street is usually the entrance of a business, whether it be a grocery mart, a hardware store, a big retailer store, designer store, whatever it is. Those are your merchants, your merchandising stores, your goods. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding. Grinding is a metaphor for working. Grinding, when you do on the grind millstone, you're exercising physical labor. So mainly physical labor jobs, but all these mental, uh, mind heavy jobs will be affected as well, because the physical labor class is the ones that or let me just say, are the ones that basically uphold the mental uh the mental the mental labors. The physical, or the physical laborers are the ones that hold up the mental laborers. So you're gonna have a lot of you know physical laborers that are getting fired, because especially with the truckers, they're trying to push that mandate on them, and they don't want to do it. You gotta understand, a lot of these truckers, these physical labor guys, they actually know more stuff than the people that live in the city, working as a doctor, with engineer, all these different type of jobs. They know more than those average people, because those people, they already sold out to the system. But these people that are doing these physical labor jobs, they're more, how do I say, more open minded. They see things for the way it is. They're not truly sold to the system. But you got officers quitting in mass droves. You also have officers that are being forced to take the jab to keep their job, even though they don't want to. So it's a lot of chaos and division that's going around in America, and a lot of people are fleeing states like California and New York and coming to these other more uh, freedom, quote unquote, more free states. Because you're not truly free in any state. The elites, they have control over all these different states, and with a switch of a button, the snap of a finger, they can change those laws and policies and bring that hammer down. So those people that are trying to flee, these Edomites, because I come on the shows all the time, and I know and I understand how Esau thinks. They think that they can flee states, try to avoid the mandates. That Esau is a very carnal man. So our Lord's Lord's lesson was edifying. To the elect out there, and uh, I should be back with another lesson tomorrow morning, hopefully, or I'll say the day after that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this video up there and in the comment section, and I'm gonna leave that article in the description box so you guys can go ahead and read and do lessons on that. But until next time, shalom.